Hi, everybody. A couple of things showed up in math class today that I wanted to cover real quickly in case you were unclear about how to do them with your homework. So the first one is let's start with 1. Now, what is 1 times 10? And let's just go back to the basics and do this by counting spots. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 ones here. So we count them up and we get 10. 1 times 10 equals 10. Okay. Um, what is 10 times 10? And those of you who remember learning about exponents, remember that 10 times 10 is another way of saying 10 squared. So 10 times 10 is 100. What is 100 times 10? It is 1,000. And I hope you're noticing something here. I hope you're noticing that each time I times it by 10, all I do is add a 0 to the end. So just like with 2 times 10, you get 20. You just add a 0 to the 2. If you have something like 1,000 times 10, we're going to have to move that because we're changing it to 10,000. We just added a 0 to the end to push the other ones up. And if we wanted to multiply 10,000 by 10, we would add another 0. And we would get 100,000. I'm going to try to, okay. If we added 100,000 by 10, we would add another 0, and then we get a million. If we did a million times 10, we would get 10 million. So you see, you just keep adding a 0 to the end. And the cool thing about that is, with that, it works on both sides of the decimal point, both in the normal world and the upside down. So if you have, let's say you have 400ths. If you multiply this number by by 10, the 1 times 10, we already learned is 10. The 4, so 400ths times 10, you don't add a 0 to the end because that would be back here in the thousandths. And we learned yesterday that 40 thousandths is the same as 400ths. But what you do is you move this one up a spot. So see how there's a 0 here? The 4 is going to go up a spot, and it's going to turn into 4/10. And this is where place value really helps out. So if I have 5 times 10, 5 is in the ones place now. It moves to the tens place, and you put a 0 in there. If you have 5/10 and you multiply that by 10, you bump up the 5 one place value. That's supposed to be an arrow, sorry. You bump up the 5 one place value, and you put a 0 at the end. Although it's a 0 after the decimal point, so it doesn't really need to be there. Okay. What happened to my thing? Okay. Okay. So that's what I wanted to mention. Another thing that a student brought up that I think is great for you to remember. Oh, actually, before I do that, I want to go back. So let's say we have 500ths. And let's say we wanted to divide that by 10. You would actually bump it down a decimal place. So it would go to the next, we have tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So you're going to put the 5 in the thousandths place instead of the hundredths place. And then this one is going to turn into a 0. That's a big mess, so I'm going to erase it. You're going to put a 0 there in the because the 5 bumped down and a 0 replaces it. So you would have 5 thousandths if you divided 500ths by 10. The next thing I wanted to say is someone mentioned that it helps to just count the spaces. So if you have 600ths, that's supposed to be a 6. If you had 6 places, 600ths, just say the names of the places when thinking about tenths, hundredths, thousandths. If you say tenths, hundredths, thousandths, you can usually remember where something goes. And the last thing I wanted to do that your homework touches on kind of briefly is it talks about the word power. Now, usually when we think of a power, and I want to make it clear, we're talking math. We're not talking about superpowers. We're not talking about electricity. We're talking about exponents. And the exponent, if I have 10 squared, this is the exponent. We know that. This is the base. So you're probably thinking, what is the power? Well, the power is the answer. So if I said 2 squared, the power would be 4. If I said 3 squared, the power would be 9. If I said 3 cubed, the power would be 27. Base, exponent, power. B-E-P. BEP. All right, that's everything. If you have any issues with the homework, please let me know. Best way to get in contact with me before school starts is email. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye.